Alright guys, today we're out on Rainbow River and we're going to show you some amazing hidden spots that are just absolutely beautiful. Rainbow River is one of the top sites for people who either live in Florida or come to visit our gorgeous state. So stick around and let's see what Rainbow River has to offer. This particular area we're paddling down right now is known as Gissy Springs. It is absolutely beautiful. You can actually walk through here. You can paddle on a paddle board. Depending on your kayak, you can get your kayak down. The water is about thigh deep, but it is gorgeous. And you have all of this natural habitat that just surrounds you. You'll see fish, all kinds of stuff in the water as you're floating down. And it is absolutely one of the most beautiful places to ever see. So Gissy Springs, this trail is actually quite long, but you'll need to know that when you get to the end, it will have a no trespassing sign with a gate. You are not allowed to go past that point because at that point it becomes private property and is no longer public access. Now, depending on the time of year, this area can get really busy. So if you don't like crowds, you will want to avoid this area, all of Rainbow River. During spring break season, that's when we have tons and tons of tourists that come down, tourists and locals, and then also during our summer season as well. It can get very, very busy, and it honestly doesn't matter what day of the week it is, what time of day it is, it's going to be packed. Now, if you are more of a no crowds kind of person and you just want a really peaceful paddle experience, you're going to want to visit here between fall, winter, and early spring. Probably through February. Once February is done and we hit March, it's going to be crowded again. So one of the things you need to keep in mind is while you're on Rainbow River, you're not allowed to have anything that is throwaway. And what that means is if you're bringing beverages, it needs to be in reusable bottles. So your water bottles need to be in reusable bottles. If you have iced tea, there is no alcohol allowed on the river at all. Now this is also applied to food as well. So you need to take it out of the disposable wrappers and put them in containers like Tupperware containers, things that are reusable. Now they do have sheriffs that do go up and down the river and they will give you a ticket if you actually break these rules. It's just one way that they help to keep our area just beautiful. And you really would be surprised how many people actually just toss their trash in our rivers. Now, another thing you need to be aware of while you're on Rainbow River is stay off the sides of the banks. So you see the areas that are on the left, on the right. Don't put your kayaks up there. Don't start traipsing through the areas. You want to stay on the actual water trails and on the river. Now, this also goes for when you're on the main river itself. You'll see tons of houses, you'll see docks, you'll see areas where they have chairs set up. That is not for public use. That is all personal property. So just be aware and don't go on people's property or get off into the grass areas because you will be trespassing and you can get a ticket for that as well. Now, one of the things we get asked a lot is, what about gators? I'll be honest, I did not want to go in this river for like 20 years. My sister-in-law kept trying to get me to go in it. And I was so freaked out of swimming or being anywhere where gators were. And let's face it, it's Florida. There's gators in every single body of water. But finally one year I thought, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And we went tubing down the river and it was the most incredible experience I've ever had. Now, mind you, this was also after I actually researched to see if there were ever any gator attacks on Rainbow River, and I can happily tell you that in all of the history that Rainbow River has been open to the public, which has been a long time, there has not been one single gator attack. So, with that said, you have nothing to worry about. Now, if you do want to actually see them in their natural habitat, you will want to go on a quiet day because as soon as it's loud and there's a lot of people on the river, they get scared and they take off and they're up in the banks and you're not going to be able to see them. Now, one animal that you do need to be aware of while you are going down Rainbow River is our Florida otters. While their faces are super cute and they try to suck you in with the cute factor, they are very aggressive, so keep a good distance. Do not try to get close. They actually will attack you. Another thing that we absolutely love here is the clarity of the water. This river is home to so many different fish, and when you go off into some of the other areas, the alligator gar are huge. And no, alligator gar are not dangerous to people. You don't have to worry, but they're beautiful. We also have bass. There's tons of turtles. Turtles also be sure to stay away from because they are snapping, but the amount of beauty here is just truly breathtaking. Now, one of my favorite things about Rainbow River is the colors, and depending on what time and how the sun hits the water and shade and clouds, you're going to get spectacular colors. And the clarity of the water is unbelievable. There's some parts that are about 25 feet deep and you can literally see all the way down. It looks like it's just a couple feet and it's not. The seagrass also is just spectacular, and it does tend to freak some people out, so just be aware that there are areas that are a lot more shallow and it can hit you, and it does give us a little bit of comic relief because sometimes people think that something's trying to grab them. You also will see a lot of people down this river actually diving, so you need to pay attention to diving flags as well, because there's a lot of great areas to actually go down and look and dive and just spend a lot of time underneath the water as well as on top of the water. Now, know while you actually are on the river, you are not allowed, unless you have a dive flag, to just hop off and start swimming down the river away from your vessel. You do have to have an actual dive flag if you're going to do that, because boaters need to be able to see where you're at all times. There are motorized vessels that are allowed on this river, and it gets very, very busy. Another thing you really need to be aware of is while you're on a paddleboard or a kayak, you can move and get out of the way a lot faster, so you are responsible for actually paying attention and seeing where boats are and getting out of their way. Now, right here is the head of Gissy Springs, and where you're going to find it is just past the campground exit. From KP Hole, it's going to be on your left-hand side, and it's just past the campground exit. Now, I can tell you, when you come here on a day that is quieter, it's such a fantastic experience because you're going to see so much more wildlife when there's not a lot of people. You're going to see just beautiful cranes, and you're going to see otters and gators and turtles, tons of fish. And you can see down to the left that emerald green color. So that is actually the grass down below that's this vibrant green, and the water is so crystal clear that it just is absolutely gorgeous. On a typical day too, you probably will see several people just hanging out on their docks. Everybody here is super, super friendly, so don't be shy. Say hello, make some friends. I've never had anybody be rude while on Rainbow River, and we're here a lot. And even, passerbys who are kayaking or they're paddleboarding, that's one of our favorite things about the lifestyle out here is everybody is so down to earth, and they'll just pick up a conversation and just have a great time with you. And you never even met them until you got on the water. Now, there are several places that you can launch from. You can launch from the head springs, but I will warn you, if you do launch at the very top where the state park is and the entrance, you will be lugging your stuff for a long, long ways. It's a hike. So the other two options are either KP Hole, which is super easy to get to, or you can launch at Blue Run. KP Hole is $5 per person to launch. Blue Run is free. If you launch at Blue Run, you're going to be going upstream, and then you're going to just be kind of floating back down. KP Hole is about the middle section, so you're about midpoint when you're at KP. So if you're wanting to go up to the head springs, same thing, you're going to go against the current for about half of the paddle, and then you can coast back down. Now, another thing to be aware of is once you get up towards the head springs, you really need to pay attention to signage, because it is a huge fine if you get out at all from your vessel in the areas that are the natural habitats and are protected. Now at the Head Springs, you can just swim there. They do have a huge area that is roped off, a big deck you can jump off, have a blast. And then they also have trails that you can hike. They do have a couple waterfalls. It is a beautiful park, but I would not suggest actually trying to launch from there because the distance is insane. Now, I can tell you, if you've never been to Rainbow River in Dunnellon, Florida, this is definitely a spot worthy of a bucket list and a vacation just by itself. There's so much to see and explore here, so many little trails. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it's one of the few places that has the type of clarity that it has where you can dive as deep as you can and it literally looks like glass. It's just amazing. And I hope you guys enjoyed this adventure. Until the next time, guys, be sure to get outside, make some memories, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day and thanks for watching.